TrollHunter is a Norwegian. I think the correct phrase is faux documentary as opposed to mock documentary. Mock documentary is kind of things like Best in Show or Spinal Tap. Faux documentary is, there's a long tradition of it. I suppose the key text were always the Blair Witch Project, which was the big hit back in the 1990s, and which itself was immediately preceded by another film called Last Broadcast, which people don't remember, but I think, in fact, there is some connection between Last Broadcast and Blair Witch, that I think somebody who was working on one was working on the other, and one of them got the attention and the other one didn't.
By the way, it's Maximilian Paul Dermot Irons. That's the film.
Okay. No, that wasn't quite as good as I remember it being.
Sorry about
Maximilian. That. Okay, anyway. And you can take it all the way back to, for example, Cannibal Holocaust, the famous video Nasty, which has the whole found footage motif. The idea is that you found footage, and now you're looking back in it and you're seeing the real stuff. And so there's that thing about blurring between fiction and reality. In the case of this, I mean, in fact, since Blair Witch, we've then had Paranormal Activity. That would be a recent faux documentary in which, apparently it looks like it's real. It's all observation cameras. We kind of know it's not real, but it looks like it is. So the story with this is there are a bunch of students who are investigating initially what looks like some strangely related bear killings. Okay, bear as in, bear. Bear as in not bear, B-A-R-E, bear as in B-E-A-R.
Well, I don't think anyone one moment thought you were talking about killings of naked people.
Just checking, okay? And they find themselves teaming up with this guy who is an enigmatic figure who at first doesn't want to have anything to do with them, but they discover is in fact a troll hunter, and they want him to tell them his story. And at first he's like, I'm not interested, I don't want to hear it, stay away, he's very, very secretive. But during the course of the filming, and as this is meant to look like found footage, they inveigle their way into his, into his confidence, because essentially he has become fed up with his job of troll hunting, and he wants to show the world what it is that he does. So
why is he fed up?
Well, one of the things that
you think it would be
I'm going to explain it. Okay. One of the things that the film does, which is quite interesting, is it takes the idea of trolls, which are of course mythical, fairy tale, fantastical creatures. They're not real, okay, and takes all the things that you know about them and treats them as if they were real. So, for example, do trolls explode under certain circumstances? If you expose a troll to sunlight, will it turn to stone? And if that's the case, can you kill it with an ultraviolet light?
Am I supposed to know about these questions?
No, this is the questions that it raises. One of the best questions it raises is, if a troll can smell the blood of a Christian man, can it smell the blood of a Muslim? There, in fact, there's a great line there which somebody says, but I'm Muslim, can it smell me? Because I honestly don't know. It takes.
What have trolls got against Christian men?
It's just part of the troll mythology, isn't it? You have to buy into this. Basically, what it's saying is that all the troll
maybe a Christian man did something wrong to a troll many years ago.
Yes, and in fact, funnily enough, in its best stages, one of the things that TrollHunter does very well is that it plays everything very straight. I mean, you have to say broadly, it has a comedic, satirical undertow, because it is, in the end, a faux documentary about troll hunting. And it's made for not very much money. I think it's about $3 million, but of course nowadays you can do quite a lot with, it's possible to do special effects, as Gareth Edwards proved with Monsters, as in fact even the people that made Skyline proved with their movie. The best way of describing this is it's like the Blair Witch Project meets the Muppets, or Cannibal Holocaust as directed by Frank Oz, because they are in the end trolls, right? But they're great, big, massive trolls. And the Troll Hunter, the reason the Troll Hunter starts telling his story is that he's becoming fed up with the benefits, or lack of them, of the job, because he is in fact in the government employ. Actually, everybody's in on this. There's this whole big thing about having to maintain the trolls and having to keep the trolls away from the public. And power lines that we all think of as power lines, they're not actually power lines. Those are fences to keep the trolls in certain areas. And what it manages to do is to keep this pretty impressive straight-faced balance between, on the one hand, the sheer ludicrousness of the subject matter, and on the other hand, the straight face of the faux documentary. So we have, for example, a scientist explaining why it is that when you expose a troll to sunlight, the troll turns to stone, and it's because of chemical reaction, because there's a certain thing that they can't. When you get sunlight produces a certain chemical, what is it that it produces?
Melatonin.
Yeah, something like that, and they can't process.
No, precisely that.
Fine, thank you. That may be the word that she used, and I'm just saying I'm not quite sure that that's what she says. And
maybe it's because it was in Norwegian.
They can't process it, and then they calcify at a very rapidly accelerated rate. That means they turn to stone. Fine, okay. And then there are a couple of moments when it actually does something quite audacious, which is that it becomes fairly, amidst everything else, it becomes fairly moving when, for example, they start talking about whether or not trolls suffer, whether they feel pain during the point of calcification, whether there would be a more humane way of dealing with them, and whether, in fact, their troll-like anger has been spurred on by the fact that men at various points in history have drilled into mountains in which the trolls are living. So the thing that TrollHunter does is a very well-judged balancing act. I mean, it's not for everybody, and some people would just think that the joke the joke is just a joke and they can't take it seriously. I mean, there's some very great laudatory quotes on the poster. One of the quotes, and it says, "The best monster movie since Jurassic Park," which is a pretty big claim to make. I would say that it's much better to go into it not thinking you're going to get the best monster movie since Jurassic Park, but thinking that what you're going to get is somebody doing something interesting with the faux documentary format. When, to be honest with you, after Paranormal Activity 2 and then most recently The Last Exorcism, which just went completely all over the place in the last 10, 12 minutes of the film, it was nice to see somebody doing, because we have seen so many faux documentaries, we're all kind of used to them now. It was nice to see somebody go, okay, what could we do? What could we do that would be funny and quirky and strange and, you know, and just off-kilter enough to make it distinctive? But it's never, I mean, it's funnily enough, when you're watching it, there are moments when you want to laugh, but it's never played as a comedy. It's played completely straight-faced, and that's its greatest strength.